Sandra Bullock has always been more than a Hollywood star. While millions recognize her charm, wit, and unforgettable performances on screen, few truly know the trials, triumphs, and deeply personal experiences that shaped the woman behind the camera. Born on July 26, 1964, in Arlington, Virginia, Sandra came into the world with a heritage steeped in talent and ambition. Her mother, Helga Meyer, was a German opera singer whose voice had the power to fill entire concert halls across Europe, and her father, John Bullock, worked with the U.S. Army's military postal service before taking on a position connected to Pentagon. Their union in Nuremberg, Germany, set the stage for a childhood that was far from ordinary, and it would shape Sandra's perspective on life, resilience, and the pursuit of her dreams. From the very beginning, Sandra was exposed to a world where boundaries of culture, language, and expectation constantly shifted. She spent her earliest years moving between Nuremberg, Vienna, and Salzburg, learning to navigate the complex dynamics of two worlds, the structured discipline of her mother's music career and the practical, rigorous demands of her father's military connections. She had a younger sister, Gasina, with whom she shared the many adventures and challenges of a childhood that was constantly in motion. Her education was equally unconventional. She attended a Waldorf school, studied ballet, and followed her mother to countless opera rehearsals, often slipping into minor roles just to be close to the art that surrounded her. These experiences taught Sandra discipline, focus, and a subtle understanding of performance that would later define her career. At the same time, they exposed her to the difficulties of living as someone who was always between worlds. When Sandra returned to the United States, she encountered classmates who did not understand her upbringing. She often stood out, both in appearance and behavior, and she struggled to fit into the social norms of American school life. Her experiences included teasing and bullying, moments of isolation, and the emotional pain of trying to balance her identity between two very different cultures. Yet, rather than letting these challenges embitter her, Sandra developed empathy and emotional intelligence, qualities that would become hallmarks of her personal and professional life. She learned early on that the pain she endured could inform her choices, allowing her to approach others with kindness and understanding even in difficult circumstances. These lessons would stay with her as she pursued her dreams, shaping both the roles she chose and the life she built outside of Hollywood's glare. Sandra's journey into acting was not a simple one. After graduating from Washington Lee High School in Arlington, she attended East Carolina University in North Carolina, where she immersed herself in theater productions such as Peter Pan and Three Sisters, earning a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Drama in 1987. With her degree in hand and a heart full of ambition, she moved to Manhattan to pursue her career, ready to face the challenges of a city known for its competitive energy. Life in New York was not glamorous. Sandra worked as a bartender, waitress, and coat checker, balancing these jobs with auditions and acting classes. Every day was a struggle, a mix of small victories and setbacks that tested her determination. She took acting classes with renowned instructors, enduring exercises that forced her to confront her own fears and vulnerabilities. Her persistence paid off, leading to small roles in student films, off-Broadway productions, and eventually her first TV appearances. One pivotal moment came with an off-Broadway play titled No Time Flat, where director Alan J. Levi recognized her natural presence and ability to command attention on stage. This led to her first significant screen role in the TV movie Bionic Showdown in 1989, opening the door to further opportunities in film and television. The early 1990s were a period of relentless work for Sandra, as she appeared in independent films and minor roles that, while not immediately famous, allowed her to build experience and momentum. She continued to audition tirelessly, taking every opportunity to refine her craft and prove that she belonged in a world often dominated by appearance over talent. Her persistence and professionalism slowly paid off, culminating in roles in movies such as Love Potion No. 9, The Thing Called Love, and Fire on the Amazon. While these films did not make her a household name, they were stepping stones that led to the breakthrough of her career. Her role in Speed in 1994. Acting alongside Keanu Reeves, Sandra portrayed Annie Porter, the passenger who must take control of a bus rigged to explode. Her audition with Reeves was rigorous, testing their chemistry and physical endurance. The film became a global success, earning over $350 million and turning Sandra Bullock into a star the world could not ignore. Awards, nominations, and critical recognition followed, cementing her status as a leading actress. She showcased her versatility in While You Were Sleeping in 1995, playing a lonely train token collector whose life changes unexpectedly. Critics praise her warmth, timing, and authenticity, confirming that Sandra could elevate even a simple story to one that resonated deeply with audiences. Through these early successes, Sandra proved her ability to navigate both the demands of Hollywood and the personal challenges that would continue to define her life. Even as her professional career flourished, Sandra's personal life was a complex tapestry of love, heartbreak, and private struggles. She dated several notable figures, including Tate Donovan, with whom she shared a relationship in the early 1990s, and later experienced private romances with individuals like Matthew McConaughey, Bob Schneider, and Ryan Gosling. Each relationship left its mark, teaching lessons about trust, patience, and the realities of balancing love with a demanding career. But it was her marriage to Jesse James in 2005 that would become one of the most publicized chapters of her life. The relationship began quietly, with careful attention to privacy, culminating in a wedding attended by 270 guests under the pretense of celebrating her 41st birthday. Bullock embraced her role as a stepmother to James' children and navigated a busy, high-profile life with dedication. However, the illusion of a perfect marriage ended abruptly when reports surfaced of James' infidelity, including an affair with a woman who was once Sandra's close friend. The revelation was devastating, compounded by the media frenzy that turned her private heartbreak into a public spectacle. Despite the pain, Sandra handled the situation with dignity, filing for divorce in 2010 and choosing to focus on her newly adopted son, Louis, whose arrival she kept private during the height of her career and award season. Her response to betrayal was measured, blending forgiveness, resilience, and commitment to her child, revealing a side of her life that the world rarely saw. In interviews, Sandra emphasized understanding, personal growth, and the importance of protecting her family, showing a profound capacity for empathy even in the face of intense personal betrayal. Her handling of these events highlighted her strength, integrity, and ability to navigate life's challenges with grace, further endearing her to fans worldwide. As Sandra Bullock's career progressed, it became increasingly clear that her success was not simply the result of luck, but of relentless determination, discipline, and an innate ability to connect with audiences. The mid-1990s were transformative years for her, as she navigated the shift from a talented newcomer to a leading actress who would command both the screen and the respect of her peers. Following the success of Speed, Sandra capitalized on her newfound fame with films like While You Were Sleeping, 1995, and A Time to Kill, 1996. In While You Were Sleeping, she played Lucy Moderatz, a lonely train token collector who becomes entangled in a case of mistaken identity and unexpected romance. The charm she brought to the role was effortless, and critics praised her ability to infuse humor, sincerity, and warmth into a character who might have otherwise felt ordinary. The film earned her a Golden Globe nomination and demonstrated her ability to carry a story through sheer authenticity and timing. Simultaneously, her role in A Time to Kill alongside Samuel L. Jackson and Matthew McConaughey showcased a different facet of her talent, one that relied on subtlety and gravitas rather than charm and humor. Here, Sandra portrayed a member of a legal defense team confronting issues of race, justice, and morality, illustrating her versatility and willingness to explore complex, emotionally demanding roles. These two films, released back-to-back, marked a turning point in her career, showing that she was capable of more than just box office appeal. She was a serious actress who could adapt to multiple genres and carry a narrative that required depth and nuance. Beyond the screen, these years were demanding in ways the public rarely saw. Long hours on set, frequent travel, and the constant scrutiny of the media created tension that required mental resilience. Sandra learned early that fame brought not only opportunities, but also the responsibility to maintain boundaries and protect her personal life. Even as she basked in the glow of critical and commercial success, she remained grounded, understanding that a Hollywood career could be as fleeting as it was brilliant, and that her personal integrity was the only constant she could control. While Sandra's professional life flourished, the mid to late 1990s also marked the beginning of complex personal challenges that would test her character in profound ways. Her early romantic relationships, though private, left emotional imprints that shaped her approach to love, trust, and partnership. Dating Tate Donovan, her co-star from Love Potion No. 9, she experienced the vulnerability of opening herself to someone outside the protected cocoon of work. Later relationships with Matthew McConaughey and Bob Schneider offered moments of stability, though each came with its own pressures of public curiosity and the realities of blending personal desire with professional obligations. By the time Sandra met Jesse James in the mid-2000s, she had learned both the rewards and risks of trusting a partner, balancing love with caution. Their courtship was private, cautious, and deliberate, marked by thoughtful interactions and a mutual understanding of each other's complexities. James proposed a vintage Tiffany diamond ring from 1910, an act that reflected his desire for authenticity and history over mere spectacle. Their wedding, held under the guise of celebrating Sandra's birthday in 2005, was intimate yet significant, attended by 270 guests and personalized with touches like Bullock crafting James' wedding band herself. Initially, the marriage seemed like a haven, a space where love, family, and mutual support could coexist with the pressures of public life. Sandra embraced her role as a stepmother to James' children, and the couple even moved across the street from James' ex-wife to remain close to his children, a choice that reflected both her practicality and commitment to family. She also adopted her son Louis in early 2010, choosing to keep his arrival private until after award season, demonstrating her protective instincts and understanding of media pressures. Despite outward appearances of domestic tranquility, cracks were forming beneath the surface, foreshadowing the heartache that would soon dominate the public narrative. The media frenzy that followed the revelation of James' affair with Bullock's best friend revealed the precarious balance of privacy and celebrity, as her personal life became public spectacle in a way that few experiences could have prepared her for. This period underscored the harsh reality that even those who appear strongest on screen must navigate betrayal, disappointment, and emotional upheaval behind the scenes. Sandra's ability to handle such circumstances with dignity, grace, and careful management of her personal and professional responsibilities further cemented her reputation not only as a talented actress, but as a resilient human being navigating a world that often prioritized scandal over substance. Amid these personal challenges, Sandra Bullock's professional accomplishments continued to grow, illustrating her unique ability to channel life experiences into her craft. The late 1990s and early 2000s were defined by roles that required a mix of emotional honesty and physical intensity. Films like Speed 2, Cruise Control 1997, and Hope Floats 1998 presented different challenges. While Speed 2 was commercially less successful and did not resonate with audiences, it provided her with financial stability to pursue projects that mattered more deeply to her, demonstrating strategic thinking and a willingness to endure short-term setbacks for long-term gain. In Hope Floats, she portrayed a woman navigating the emotional fallout of betrayal and rebuilding her life, a role that mirrored certain aspects of her own experience and allowed her to explore a depth of feeling that few actors achieve so convincingly. This film grossed over $80 million, proving that Sandra did not require explosive action or spectacle to captivate audiences. Her emotional authenticity was more than enough. Critics noted her ability to convey heartbreak, humor, and resilience simultaneously, solidifying a niche in Hollywood that combined relatability with talent. Over the following years, she carefully selected roles that challenged her, allowed her to grow, and balanced the demands of a public career with personal priorities. Films such as The Blind Side 2009, which earned her an Academy Award for Best Actress, exemplified this approach, demonstrating how professional achievement and personal narrative could intersect in a way that resonated with audiences globally. Each project became a vehicle for exploring human emotion, personal strength, and moral complexity, reflecting the very qualities that Sandra had developed over decades of life experience. Through her career choices, she not only entertained but also inspired viewers, providing a model of resilience, talent, and thoughtful decision-making in an industry often criticized for superficiality and fleeting attention. Even at the height of her professional success, Sandra Bullock's personal life has often been complex and intensely scrutinized. Among the most publicized chapters of her life was her marriage to Jesse James, a relationship that began quietly but ended in heartbreak and a media storm that seemed impossible to escape. Sandra and Jesse first crossed paths in 2003 during a visit she arranged for her 10-year-old godson to West Coast Choppers in Long Beach, California. James, known as the host of Monster Garage, gave the young boy a special tour demonstrating his skills and enthusiasm for motorcycles. Although Sandra initially had no personal interest in James, he was persistent in connecting with her. She thoughtfully instructed an employee not to provide her personal phone number, instead offering her email as a polite boundary. Despite her efforts to maintain distance, James continued to engage with her, using a virtual game of 20 questions as a way to explore her personality and interests beyond superficial conversation. Sandra initially found this surprising, expecting mechanical questions typical of James' work, but was impressed by his thoughtfulness, curiosity, and willingness to understand her on a deeper level. Over time, she began to see qualities in him that resonated with her own values, such as patience, tolerance, and an understanding of life's complexities. Their relationship developed in private, away from the glare of the paparazzi, allowing Sandra to approach it cautiously and deliberately. When James proposed, it was with a vintage Tiffany diamond ring from 1910, a gesture that reflected his desire to honor tradition and authenticity rather than flashy displays of wealth. Their wedding, held in July 2005 under the guise of celebrating Sandra's birthday, included 270 guests and was a carefully orchestrated event that balanced intimacy and personal significance. Sandra even crafted James' wedding band herself, highlighting her hands-on approach and commitment to meaningful, personalized gestures. Initially, the marriage seemed stable, with Sandra embracing her role as a stepmother and participating actively in James' household. She demonstrated a philosophy that family connection did not necessarily require biological ties, providing care, love, and stability to James' children. They even moved across the street from James' ex-wife to remain close to his children, showing practicality, thoughtfulness, and a commitment to nurturing family relationships. For a time, it seemed that Sandra had found both love and stability, balancing the demands of Hollywood with a fulfilling personal life. The public, observing from a distance, saw a seemingly perfect couple who appeared to blend romance, family, and personal achievement seamlessly. However, the appearance of perfection was fragile, as the underlying reality of James' infidelity would soon unravel, exposing Sandra to emotional pain that was magnified by global attention. The betrayal began to surface in December 2009 and quickly escalated into a scandal that dominated headlines. In Touch Weekly, tattoo artist Michelle "Bombshell" McGee claimed she had engaged in an 11-month-long affair with James while he was married to Bullock. The media frenzy that followed was immediate and relentless. In a matter of days, Sandra's private heartbreak became public spectacle, analyzed, dissected, and discussed across newspapers, television, and online platforms. The sense of betrayal was compounded by the fact that one of the women involved was allegedly a close friend of Sandra's, intensifying the emotional blow. The pain of discovering that someone she trusted had violated her confidence in such a personal way was immense. Despite the intensity of public scrutiny, Sandra responded with quiet strength and dignity. She chose to file for divorce in June 2010, only a month after the revelations became public, taking control of her life and prioritizing the well-being of her family. During this period, she also welcomed her adopted son, Louis, earlier that year, choosing to keep his arrival a secret until after award season. This decision reflects Sandra's consistent focus on protecting her children from public intrusion and maintaining boundaries between her professional obligations and personal life. The aftermath of the scandal was complicated. James admitted to some of the allegations but denied others, acknowledging his failures and expressing remorse. He even sought rehabilitation to address personal issues, though the damage to the marriage was irreparable. For Sandra, the experience reinforced lessons about trust, boundaries, and personal resilience. She approached the situation with pragmatism, focusing on her child, her career, and her own emotional recovery. This period of her life illustrates a remarkable ability to endure public humiliation while maintaining dignity and protecting what mattered most: her family, personal values, and sense of self. In interviews following the scandal, she spoke carefully, highlighting understanding, forgiveness, and the importance of moving forward rather than dwelling on betrayal. Her handling of the situation set a standard for how public figures can navigate personal crises without surrendering to sensationalism, demonstrating both courage and strategic thinking in managing her narrative amid relentless media attention. Beyond the marriage and its dissolution, Sandra faced other challenges related to fame and personal safety. In 2014, a man named Joshua Corbett broke into her Los Angeles home, convinced she was his wife and himself her partner. He was carrying weapons and had created detailed writings declaring his obsession with her. Although Sandra was not physically harmed, the psychological impact was significant, leaving her fearful for herself and her son. The situation escalated over the years, culminating in Corbett barricading himself inside his home in 2018 and ultimately dying by suicide during a standoff with police. Sandra later spoke about the incident, highlighting her awareness of systemic failures in mental health treatment and reflecting on how personal safety and public scrutiny can intersect in unpredictable ways. This episode, along with her earlier experiences of harassment as a teenager, underscores the ongoing challenges Sandra faced as a woman in the public eye. She learned early on that personal resilience, careful boundaries, and attention to family safety were essential to navigating life in Hollywood. Through these events, she cultivated a perspective that balanced empathy for others' struggles with firm protection of her own family and well-being. Even as she continued to work on challenging film roles and pursue personal projects, the shadow of these experiences informed her decisions, relationships, and the way she chose to engage with the world around her. Sandra's life during this period exemplifies the interplay between personal vulnerability and public expectation, highlighting how strength, intelligence, and careful decision-making can allow someone to navigate even the most difficult circumstances with grace. After the tumultuous years of public heartbreak, media frenzy, and personal challenges, Sandra Bullock shifted her focus toward creating a life defined by love, family, and personal fulfillment rather than constant attention and Hollywood pressures. One of the most significant aspects of this period was her approach to motherhood. Sandra had long dreamed of being a parent, and her adoption of Louis in early 2010 marked a profound transformation in her life. She chose to keep Louis's arrival private during award season, demonstrating her protective instincts and understanding of the pressures of public scrutiny. From the very beginning, she prioritized creating a stable, nurturing environment for her son, balancing the demands of fame with the responsibilities of raising a child. In interviews, Sandra openly discussed the complexities of parenting in America, especially as a white parent raising a black child. She emphasized the importance of preparing Louis for a world that does not always treat people fairly, addressing issues of racism, sexism, and homophobia in age-appropriate ways. She wanted her son to understand reality without shielding him entirely, believing that awareness and resilience were essential for navigating life. This careful, thoughtful approach to parenting reflects Sandra's deep empathy, insight, and commitment to her family's well-being. It also illustrates the way she has learned to separate her public persona from her private life, ensuring that her child can grow in an environment grounded in love and understanding rather than media spectacle. Love returned to Sandra's life in quieter, more private forms after her divorce from Jesse James. She entered an 8-year relationship with Brian Randall, a photographer she met while attending her son Louis' birthday party. Unlike her previous high-profile relationships, this partnership was characterized by discretion, mutual respect, and shared priorities. They did not rush into marriage or seek public attention, choosing instead to build a life on their own terms. Sandra and Brian shared their lives in the background, away from cameras and gossip, focusing on family and personal connection rather than fame or appearances. This approach exemplifies the lessons Sandra had learned from earlier relationships, the importance of trust, communication, and a private sanctuary amid the pressures of Hollywood. Tragically, in August 2023, Brian passed away after a private 3-year battle with ALS. Sandra stood by him throughout his illness, managing the situation with the same resilience, discretion, and care that have characterized her life's most challenging moments. Her handling of this personal loss, away from public attention, illustrates the depth of her emotional strength, her commitment to loved ones, and her ability to navigate grief with dignity. Even amid heartbreak, she remained focused on her children, family responsibilities, and personal healing, demonstrating a consistency in values that has remained central throughout her life. Alongside love and family, Sandra Bullock has also reflected on her career, fame, and the pressures that come with public life. By 2022, she stepped away from Hollywood for an extended period, choosing to focus on her children and personal well-being rather than continuing the relentless pace of film production and media appearances. She candidly admitted feeling burnout, exhausted, and at times overwhelmed by the demands of maintaining both career and family. This decision underscores a pattern throughout her life. Sandra prioritizes authenticity, emotional health, and meaningful connection over the superficial trappings of celebrity. Even with her immense talent and global recognition, she has consistently sought balance, understanding that her well-being and that of her family are more important than fame or professional accolades alone. Her reflections reveal a woman who has learned from mistakes, setbacks, and personal trials, using those experiences to cultivate wisdom, resilience, and empathy. She has spoken about the importance of protecting her children from media intrusion, carefully choosing how much of her private life to share, and remaining present for the people who matter most. These choices demonstrate an extraordinary ability to manage both personal and professional demands with thoughtfulness and intentionality. Throughout her life, Sandra Bullock has faced challenges that few public figures encounter: betrayal in love, intense media scrutiny, threats to personal safety, and the responsibilities of motherhood in a complex world. Yet she has met these challenges with courage, empathy, and grace. She has managed to balance professional success with private fulfillment, showing that resilience is not the absence of pain, but the ability to move forward with integrity despite it. From her early childhood in Germany to the heights of Hollywood stardom, from public heartbreak to private triumphs, Sandra has continually demonstrated that true strength lies in the combination of talent, compassion, and unwavering personal values. Her life story is a testament to perseverance, strategic thinking, and emotional intelligence, proving that one can navigate both the brightest spotlights and the darkest moments with dignity. Today, at 61, Sandra Bullock remains not only a beloved actress, but a figure whose life reflects depth, resilience, and a commitment to the things that matter most: love, family, and personal authenticity. She has confirmed publicly the painful truths of her past, including the affair of her ex-husband and the challenges she faced. Yet she continues to define herself not by betrayal or scandal, but by the way she rises above it. Her story serves as both an inspiration and a reminder that true strength is measured not in fame, awards, or public adoration, but in how one navigates life's trials, protects the people one loves, and continues to live with purpose and integrity. Sandra Bullock was born on July 26, 1964, in Arlington, Virginia, into a family that spanned borders and cultures. Her mother, Helga Meyer, was a German opera singer, and her father, John Bullock, worked in the U.S. Army's Postal Service before joining the Pentagon. Sandra grew up traveling between Germany, Austria, and the United States, living in cities like Nuremberg, Vienna, and Salzburg. She attended a Waldorf school, performed in her mother's opera rehearsals, and developed skills in ballet, singing, and acting. Returning to U.S., Sandra faced cultural challenges in school. Her unique upbringing and clothing made her stand out, leading to teasing and occasional fights. Despite this, she learned resilience and empathy, deciding never to inflict pain on others. Eventually, she attended Washington Lee High School, dove into theater, and graduated in 1982 before pursuing a BFA in drama at East Carolina University.